Get in here, get in here, get in here, get in here. Everybody, get in here. Everybody, get in here. Okay, disclaimer, do not expect perfection on my videos. I am, as I shared before, I've been reading this book, Atomic Habits, with a group of people, you know, and one of the things that we've been challenged to do is to get used to putting out imperfect work, because perfect is the enemy of perfection is the enemy of good or great, because when you struggle with perfection, you want everything to be perfect. You wait for conditions to be perfect before you start that business or before you start that content creation side hustle, because you want everything to be perfect, and perfection does not exist. So I'm just putting it out there. Do not expect perfection. I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the help, but right now I am just trying to build a habit and just get used to putting out imperfect work so I can go back and see what I need to improve on. So just ease on the feedback, okay? When I need the feedback, I'll let you all know. Right now, I'm just building a habit, okay? So, what are we talking about today? Baby, get up and start all over again. One of my favorite songs is Donnie McClurkin. We fall down, but we get up. 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 For a saint is just a sinner who fell down. But got up. That's the whole point of this message today. A saint is just a sinner who fell down 7 times, or maybe 70 times 7 times. Yeah, or even more. The saint fell down, but his secret is he got up. He got up. I feel like the difference between Judas and Simon Barjona is Judas, after he realized what he had done, he went on and unalived himself because he didn't see redemption beyond what he had done, right? Versus Simon, who went, oh, once he realized he had messed up, he turned to the very person who he knew was the deliverer, was going to deliver him. And guess what? He got saved. So we can learn a lesson there that when you fall down, don't stay down. Dust yourself up, get up, and start all over again. Okay? Example. I've been building this habit and I was consistent, right? And then life happened to me, as it should, right? Or as it does. Life happens to the best of us sometimes. I had a family emergency and I had to attend to that. And so I was off social media and had to attend to, my family's needs. And so I wasn't able to be consistent because of the environment. My immediate family and I, we made a choice that we are not going to put out certain aspects of our lives, because that's wisdom. We only put out what we can control or what we want to put out. Some of some things of your life should be a mystery, right? You shouldn't put out everything out there. So yeah, so I wasn't able to record, and it threw me off. I wasn't able to do other things that I've been doing, and I was a bit consistent with the working out and eating well the best I know how. But the point of today's life is, here am I. I am back. I got back into my routine, and I just started. One of the things that this book, James Clear, says is, you know, the habit does not have to be perfect, and also you start easy, right? So I got back into my routine, my workouts, um, you know, that I wasn't able to do when I was away. And I just started, like, I start with the mini rebounder, legit. Like, I start just jumping on the trampoline, the mini rebounder. I mean, there's difference between a trampoline and the rebounder. Um, Sometimes even just 2 minutes. I set it up in a way that I put it where I can see it almost every day, more than once. So every time I see it, I jump on it. Every time I see it, and guess what? Even that tiny little habit, it leads to the next habit. The next thing, I'm on the bike. And sometimes I start with 15 minutes, or maybe I'm just like, I just want to do 5 minutes. But my competitive nature, sometimes then it's like, I want to burn at least 100 calories, at least salad dressing, man. Let me burn out. Do you know it's so easy to consume calories? And it's easier to consume calories than it is to burn them. Burning 100 calories, it's work. But eating them, you can eat them in a teaspoon, like this teaspoon, 100 calories. That it's a mystery to me, and I don't get it. Like, how come it takes me a minute to consume 500 calories, but it would take you half an hour to burn just 100 calories? Go figure. But anyway, I digressed. What was I talking about? you know Learning the habit of putting out imperfect work. I rambled. Now I don't know what was the point of this story. Okay, get back up, dust yourself, and start over. You know, I was thrown off this week, last week, but hey, I got up and I started all over again. So, how about you do the same? That business you started and now you just parked, you have all that inventory gathering dust, that you need to be selling. You need to attend that farmers market event so you can sell the inventory, or that degree program you started, or that certificate. Coursera, very guilty. I started so many courses, and then I never finished them. It's a mystery to me, though. Like, when things are free, I feel like there isn't really that much motivation to complete, because, ooh, I'm just reminded of something I started that I haven't completed. Lord help. Two things. Oh, but it's like when something is free, it's almost like you don't feel, there's no motivation to complete it. That's crazy. But when you have paid for something, like you don't want to miss class, you don't want to miss anything, there's something there. There's something to be said. Free things versus when you work for something, when you earn something, when you pay for something and you own it. There's just something about that versus when you receive something free. I don't know. I'm going on a tangent here, but I want to explore that, why that is, the psychology of why that is, or the psychology behind that. Because I kid you not, I have studied so many courses, Coursera courses, because I have access to it for free. Actually, I need to use that to my advantage, and other courses too. Like, if I didn't pay for it, or I just, yeah. Anyway, but that course, that you started, and you fell off the wagon, that habit that you started, eating well, eating right, exercising, being on top of your physicals, checkups, whatever, and you fell off, hey, get back on it, get back on that wagon. You fell off, right? Dust yourself and get back. And also, this is another message for a different day, but I just want to get into it too. Totally random, by the way. Know when to exit the chart. Know when to exit the chat. There's just something, oh, a conversation, really. I experienced something actually, you know, a informal setting, formal setting, whatever, where it's just like, you know, this conversation is going nowhere, right? You're not winning. And the goal when you're expressing yourself is never to win. The goal is to be heard. But when someone is committed not to hear you, not to understand you, know when to exit the chart. Because as the adage goes, or, we always say, like, don't argue. If you argue, you know, I don't know. I remember my mom always used to say, like, if you argue, no one is going to know the difference between you and the other person. So you just have to, pick your battles and know when to exit the chart, know when to exit a conversation. Anyone who knows, I think also, though, it's an African thing, you guys. Like, we tend to be, I've observed in the marketplace, with the organizations that I'm involved with, like Western people, they tend to just be direct. They're very direct, few words, in and out they go. Us, on the other hand, we're so like indirect. We start, oh, so how are you doing? How are your parents? How are your chickens? How is the dog? How is the cat? We just go, before we just go in and direct, right? And it's been a learning teachable moment for me to just learn to be more direct. Just be direct and don't just go about the bush, and just be direct and say what you need to say and get out. And don't take things personally as much as you're tempted to, and know when to exit the chart. It's a gift, actually, to know when to exit the chart or a conversation. Or my pastor always used to say, when your grace, sometimes we can outgrow our grace in a work situation or whatever, in a space we outgrow our grace. And when you outgrow your grace, you notice that things shift, and perhaps you've overstayed your grace, and you also need to shift, right? You also need to shift, whatever that means for you. Shifting, whether it means shifting physically, spiritually, mentally, whatever that you need to do. Like, you may need to just turn certain things off, but just know when to exit a conversation. Okay, now I remember what I was talking about. Africans, an African thing. So I struggle sometimes ending conversations, because it's just like Africans, we just like, I don't know, it's not even polite. It's just, I feel like sometimes it's just a fake politeness, which I actually don't like. Like, I prefer now, maybe, I don't know, maybe because I've been in the West for so long now, I don't know, I just prefer people being more direct than the fake niceness, right? But we do it, and I struggle ending conversations sometimes, because it's like, I just can't tell someone, hey, I need to go because I have another meeting coming up at 5. I need to go. Like, I'm not responsible for anyone's emotions. I'm not, but it's like we want to babysit everyone. We want to babysit everyone's emotions. You feel like, oh, if I leave, I'll be rude. So what? So what if you're rude? You need to go. because like I say, sometimes I find myself being late to certain meetings because I just couldn't end one. Even I noticed like on Zoom or Teams meetings, like the Western people, they don't play, like they hit that end meeting button so fast. I'm always the last one to hit it because I'm just like, okay, I don't know why I'm lingering around. You need to go. So those are some aspects of my culture, my Zimbabwean African culture, that I want to kind of explore why we do that, and unlearn, like really unlearn. Like I don't need the unnecessary pleasantries. I had a conversation with someone the other day. They had lost their grandfather, and I said, I am so sorry for the loss of your grandfather. This person was livid. They were upset that I said I'm so sorry, because they said, why are you saying sorry? You're not the one responsible for my grandfather's death. And I was like, oh my goodness. Culturally, where I am from, if you know, especially Zimbabweans, if someone falls, we go, oh, sorry, sorry, sorry. My Niger people will say, oh, sorry, oh, sorry, oh. And it's not that I'm saying I'm sorry because I caused your pain or I'm responsible for your pain, but it's just a cultural mindset. We were raised like that. We were raised to just say sorry, sorry, sorry. But the Western culture, they don't appreciate that. That person even says that feels fake and funny because you actually really, like, you don't mean it. It's just something that you're used to saying, but, well, I didn't mean it. I just didn't mean that I'm sorry because I'm responsible for your grandfather's death. I was just saying I'm sorry for your pain, even though I didn't cause it. But I think there's something there. There's something there about the unnecessary pleasantries and fakeness that's in some of our cultural habits per se, like just that thing of just, I don't know. And I'm actually, I don't like it too. It's fake. It's funny. It's just like, yeah. So I'll come share, you guys. I'll come share um, after I do some research on actually why we say that a lot. Sorry a lot. We tend to say sorry a lot. We tend to say thank you a lot. Thank you, thank you. In the West, people, if they do say thank you, it's just once. That's it. Like, as, oh, we will worship someone, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, we bow down, we roll on the ground, and it's just like, I don't know. And there's that aspect of servanthood where you're constantly trying to manage. It's fight or flight, right? Like there's fear constantly trying to manage. Oh, maybe I didn't say thank you enough. Maybe I didn't appreciate enough. And you live your life. I'm not condoning or advocating for being ungrateful, but I'm just saying honestly, maybe that one thank you is enough, you know? Like you don't need to bow down and worship some, I don't know. To me it's just like our culture. So I did this in one of the classes I took. I hope I'm saying it right because it's a German, no, it's a Dutch name, Git Hofstadter, and they talk about the cultural distance, what is cultural dimensions, the West versus maybe us Africans. And one of the things is like power distance, right? How if someone is our boss, like we literally worship them, we bow down before them. Here they don't care. In the West, like they don't care. They feel like it's fake, like that worship, that nice, those niceties on unnecessary pleasantry. They just like get to the point, like they don't care if you exhibit those. They feel like you're being fake. It's funny. You want some favors, and you become suspicious. Like, what are you hiding? Maybe you're hiding incompetence. That's why you're hiding over those. Hi, how are you? I'm not saying be rude, but I'm just saying like it's just been interesting. Why it has taken me years to learn, and honestly, it hasn't taken me years to learn. I knew this, but I was just being myself. And now I've been on the other side and I see the point in that. Like, we really don't need to pretend. We really don't need to, like, just say what you need to say. Be direct, don't go around the bush. Be use less words. That's one of my goals this year, is to be a better listener. God gave us 2 ears for a reason. 2 ears, one mouth, right? So I want to I've been saying this for a long time. I want to learn to be a better listener, to be comfortable with pauses, with silence. Like, it's okay. You don't need to fill every space, with words. I don't need to manage everyone's emotions, to be quick to feel silence with words, because that's what we're doing. We are managing. We've been conditioned to manage, impressions or people. No, you don't need to. Just, it's okay. Be comfortable with silence. Be comfortable in your feelings. Sit with them and feel them to the fullness. It's okay to be bored. It's okay to be sad. Like, listen. Yeah, I want to be a better listener. And I also just want to be more direct. Thank God for AI, Uncle Claude and Claude. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. This is my Zimbabwean way of pronouncing Claude. And chat, all those, because Copilot, Gemini, like, I usually, with, like, professional emails and conversations, I legit type it out what I want to say, and then I put it in Gemini or Chat or Claude to like, compress it, be direct, and it will give you, like, Gemini does a good job of, even Chat, like, giving you two options, like, okay, here's a more direct option, here's a more, friendly tone, or whatever. Do you want to be more direct? And it helps. It's been helpful to me, because most of the things that I wanted to communicate in professional settings, they were lost in translation, because I'm just like, by the way, and what I was thinking and what I wanted to, it's like, no, just say what you want to say. Like, where you saying, by the way, you get, you get. So yeah, we're learning. Oh, just don't make this mistake like I did the other day. Actually, I've done this twice. Full transparency moment, right? Ah, we're being vulnerable. That's another thing. One of my goals this year, 2026, to be a little more vulnerable. I put my original message into Gemini, and then for some reason it copied everything and sent the message. That was my first error. And then a couple of months later, I put my message into Gemini again, and I copied what I wanted to say, but I didn't see that it said, dear, name of the person, right? Name of the person, and left blank for me to fill in the name of the person, because I don't want to put everything into AI, because you don't know where your information goes. That's a teachable moment to you. So if it's maybe professional, business, work, school, whatever, you don't want that information stored in by Uncle Chat, okay, or Uncle Gemini or Copilot. Copilot is good because it's more like a professional, and usually when you have Copilot, it's a paid one, right? Because you're paying for Microsoft, like the whole Microsoft suite thing, and it's so Copilot, I think, is the best option, but still, you don't want private information in there. So I don't put names of the people and stuff, and so I sent that message saying, dear, name of the person. And then I realized, but honestly, we're human, man. We are very human, and we're learning and we are growing. I think one of the other things too that I've been trying to do with myself, it took me forever, is to just laugh at myself. Do not take life too seriously. Yes, pay attention to details, which I do, but sometimes I'm human. Sometimes even big brands, they send messages, and they will have to send another one to correct. I'm not saying be careless, but I'm just saying if the mistake happens, be human enough to. For me, I always want to know like what's the lesson. So for me, I feel like even my failures or my oopsies or anything, even the painful moments, the painful things, experiences that I go through, I always look for what's the lesson. Like you either learn or what, I can't remember, but it's like it's a lesson. You never lose, you never lose. Like there's no, I'm not gonna now go unalive myself like Judas because I made an oopsie. Like I'm gonna use it as a teachable moment. I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna move from it quickly. I'm gonna dust myself and get up like that saint who fell down 7 times. A saint is just a sinner who fell down, but get up and learn from it and move on and use it as a teachable moment and tell the story, to others about what you learned from that moment. So yeah, like when we make mistakes, like in even in life, who do we turn to? Go to God. It could be something big, it could be something small. Just go back to God and say, God, I messed up, help me. And He will direct you. Or even with parents, sometimes I watched a video the other day, and this person described family to me in a way that was very, I could relate to, because they say family is where you go when you are at your lowest. Let that sink in. Family is where you go when you are at your lowest. You think of children, family is where you go when you're at your lowest. So, do you have a family? Do you have a family? Where do you go when you're at your lowest? Or does your family beat you up because you have failed? Do they disown you when you have failed? They only want you when you're succeeding, when you're doing everything right. They want you. But when you're failing, now you're not part of their family, you know? Like family is where you go when you're at your lowest, when you have failed, you know? I will never forget. I had an experience with my daughter years ago, actually, and it was just it was a tough time at you know that year. Things were just going on and stuff, and something happened with school that was not what you want to happen with a child, right? And I remember I had started watching Joseph Prince, parenting, grace-based parenting. And I am so glad for the lessons I learned from Joseph Prince. Maybe he's not perfect, I don't know. But I've learned that thing helped, and it saved me. It saved my daughter so much, because people maybe expected me to react a certain way, other people, maybe within the family or whatever. But I didn't. I said to my child, you know what? I am your mom and I am here. To be honest, my mom did it for me too. When everyone else wanted nothing to do with me, right? Because I got pregnant out of wedlock. They wanted nothing to do with me. My mom, upset as she was, but she was like, I'm here for you. I was here for you when you were born, when nobody was there. I'm here for you. So, and I just said that to my daughter. I'm like, you know what? We're going to start over. We're going to get this thing right. And you know what? That also helped her. It gave her confidence, right? To get back up. And she went on to do amazing things, still doing amazing things, great things, because maybe it was just me believing in her at that moment when no one else did, or when everyone else wanted to crucify her at that time. But imperfect as I was as the parent, I never come on. By the way, I never come on here to talk about things because I have arrived. The very reason why I'm talking about them is because I am going through them, right? I'm going through them. In some, maybe I've overcome, but I can share, but that doesn't mean I'm perfect. So again, a very imperfect as I was, as I still am as a person, as a parent, I was able to carry my daughter through that, and I became a family. I became where she could go or where she could come to at her lowest. My mom was that for me too. She was there, and the other family members too, like my aunt and stuff. They were there for me when I was at my lowest. So, yeah. Anyway, get back up. Get back up. Get back up. We fall down, but we get up. We fall down, but we get up. For a saint is just a sinner who fell down, but got up. Get up, dust yourself, forgive yourself, start over, begin again. Fail fast, fail forward, move it right on. Thank you for your time. Bye, y'all.